massive bill yet. They hope to pass it tomorrow or Friday. It's 2,009 pages. You folks going to be reading it? Do you call this consent of the governed? Do you call this a republic? This omnibus bill was released at 1:30 in the morning today. 2,009 pages. They want to vote on it tomorrow or Friday, or if they have to, next Tuesday. Unbelievable. Now, there's an excellent site, the Daily Signal, which has an association with the Heritage Foundation. And Philip Wegman there, he who focuses on these things, he writes, Democrats are claiming they scored significant policy victories in the omnibus spending bill. Hours after the mammoth spending bill dropped, Democrats are counting their triumphs, outlining conservative policy riders and priorities that were not included in the final spending. In fact, the top Democratic Senate aide summed it up in a single tweet. He said, in addition to nixing more than 150 Republican riders, the final agreement will secure major progressive policy successes. Well, that's the best we could do. That's why people have had enough. And Paul Ryan's the best they can show us. So here's early Wednesday morning, the Democrats on the House Appropriations Committee released a summary detailing Republican provisions that were left out of the bill or stripped out of the bill. Want to hear some of them? Republican provisions that were taken out of the bill clearly at the direction of Paul Ryan. The bill does not include a House provision allowing thousands of unregulated tobacco products to escape full FDA review. It does not include proposed language preempting state laws on the labeling of genetically modified foods. It goes on and on. Prohibit funding to facilitate or promote exports to the Cuban military intelligence service officers or the immediate families of the officers. So apparently the Democrats support doing that. House provision they stripped out prohibiting funds from the Department of Justice to defend the deferred action of childhood arrivals, that is, Obama's, in part, amnesty fiat. The provision prohibiting funding to negotiate or finalize a trade agreement that includes provision relating to L-1 visas. House provision prohibiting justice grants for so-called sanctuary cities. So Ryan, with the Democrats, pulled that out of the budget, of the spending bill. A provision prohibiting funding for trade agreements establishing a limit on greenhouse gases. A provision prohibiting funding for certain climate-focused studies. In other words, they wanted to take these provisions out. Ryan refused. House proposal to make permanent the one-year provision restricting the federal government from prohibiting imports of certain relics. Goes on and on and on and on. One Democrat victory after another. The omnibus does not include language from the House allowing firearms to be carried on all Corps of Engineers land and, prohibiting funding to subsidize abortion services in connection with a multi-state plan. In other words, they fully fund Planned Parenthood. They do not defund what is now so far illegal amnesty by the president, where the court has blocked it. On the environment, every damn thing the EPA and the radical left, the phony Greens and the real Reds want, is funded. I'm telling you what, they want to know why Trump and Cruz and Carson and others are popular, because there's no other way out at the federal level. Purse, and you do that by making abundantly clear to your leftist enemies that you will not fight to the end, including a government shutdown that is caused by them. That in fact you'll blame yourself and your own party for it. Then you've lost all ability to control the process. That's what Boehner and McConnell have done, and that's now what Paul Ryan has done. And so now we have the Republicans passing liberal budgets after liberal budgets. Here's Paul Ryan at a press conference today. Cut 15, go.
Given the defections on the Democratic side we're already hearing about and from your own members unhappy about not getting riders in, are you confident there will be no shutdown?
Look, I have no reason to believe that we're going to have a shutdown.
See, that's all that meant. Well, hey, look. We can't have a shutdown. Well, let me ask you something, folks. Let me tell you some of what's in here. Democrats won multi-year extensions of critical tax credits for solar and wind energy production. They successfully nixed a rider that would have blocked the EPA's proposed Waters of the United States rule that would expand its jurisdiction against polluters. This is the way the liberals write it, slate, under the Clean Air Act. So in other words, the Constitution's navigable waters don't even apply anymore. The EPA is reaching into your backyard. And the Republicans said, all right, we don't want to shut down for God's sakes, we can't shut down the government. The hell with private property rights. Riders blocking proposed regulations of power plants were cut out. In other words, shutting down coal mines. Hey, look, you can shut down the coal mines, just don't shut down the government. They couldn't block U.S. government's contributions to the International Green Climate Fund. That's you and me, where they're going to redistribute our money to the third world under the phony heading of climate change. What else? A few more examples. People are still working through it. What else was taken out? Language restricting Syrian and Iraqi refugee resettlement. Defunding Planned Parenthood. Gone. Blocking Obama's executive actions on immigration. None of it's going to be included. And I could go on and on. We can't shut down the government. Let me ask you folks a question. As more and more of your liberty is seized by the federal government through the spending processes, through the budget processes, through the regulatory processes, why shouldn't they shut it down for a while and duke it out? It's in your defense, in defense of your liberty, in defense of your private property rights, of your job, of your business. This is just a slow kill, and it's not so slow anymore. The Republicans are literally voting for the demise of their constituents. Unbelievable. Then if you stand up against it, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. What are you, a bomb thrower? What are you want everything? We get 80% of... We don't get 80% of anything. I'm sick of that too. Look, Reagan used to say if we get 80%, and every now and then Reagan would say, screw off to Tip O'Neill. I know. But we don't get 80% of a deal. We're lucky if we get 5 or 10%. They throw us crumbs. So now Ryan is essentially being blackmailed because of his own actions. Oh, we're not going to shut down the government. And we're not going to shut down the government. They all sound the same way. Beard or no beard. Drinker or no drinker. No, we're not shutting down the government. We're shutting down the Constitution. We're shutting down private property rights. We're shutting down various industries. We're funding, slaughterhouses like Planned Parenthood. We're going to do all that. But by God, we're not going to shut down the government. As McConnell would say, oh, we're not shutting down the government. You know how many amendments we passed in this place? Many more than Harry Reid ever passed. I mean, the government's working. We're bipartisan. We're showing the American people the Republicans can govern. That's why we despise them. They're showing the American people that they're pathetic. And you're sick of it. And they're surrogates. And this is the other line I love. Cruz doesn't get along with these senators. Would any of you get along with these people? Seriously. My beloved audience, I'm asking you a question. Would you get along with senators like this? Or would you stand up and let them have it? He doesn't know how to work with Mitch McConnell. Would any of us know how to work with Mitch McConnell, a two-time double-dealing you-know-what? Or Orrin Hatch, who lied to my audience to get reelected, a complete fraud? You're dealing with cronies. You're dealing with utterly dishonest people. But he doesn't get along with them. Neither would I. Would you? No, you wouldn't. Meanwhile, Trump is an idiot, and Cruz is a liar, and blah, blah, blah. The same forces that despise you. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, dig in for the fight. Reject this establishment. Reject their tactics. You know who's conservative. You know who's principled. You know who you support. Do not allow these people. I don't care how much money they spend. I don't care how many websites they use. I don't care how many mouthpieces they have on cable TV. Reject them. All of them. Reject them. And embrace common sense. Embrace it. Promote it. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. We tell them to stop spending, they won't stop spending. We tell them to secure the border, they won't secure the border. We tell them to leave our local police alone, they won't leave our local police alone. We tell them it's our private property, keep your hands off of our creeks, off of our ponds, off of our property, and they won't keep their hands off of our property. We said we want to keep our private health insurance. Get out of the way. They say you can't keep your private health insurance. And then they lie to us to boot. We say we work hard. We want to keep most of our money. They say you can't keep most of your money. We tell them we believe in elected representatives. Bureaucrats shouldn't be making all these laws. And they tell us they have a pen and a phone and they'll do whatever the hell they want. And the Republicans won't stop them. The Republicans join in. This is why ultimately Article 5 is the only way out of this. If you study it, if you understand it, if you're not knee-jerk, if you're not, just a whiner who likes to complain about things, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Go to conventionofstates.org, conventionofstates.org. Or keep hoping Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and Fair and Balanced and all the rest will get you what you want. And they won't. It's amazing how the establishment, both in and out of media, are trying to determine who our nominee is. And this is what I'm noticing more and more about our favorite cable channel, too. They're telling us who we must nominate. And we're saying no. It's not just them, it's others.